of the day here at Oulton Park then, and we've got the red lights coming on and going out. Away we go. So who makes the best of the starts? Well, it's a good start by Rob Apsey actually from the second row of the grid, the outside of the second row. Is he going to get the lead into the first corner? No, I think Craig Land is just going to get ahead of him, but I think Apsey will slot into second place. There's one off already, which I think is Sean Brame. Yes, it is, and that's not going to put paid to his hopes of getting a podium finish. He's only got a matter of yards from the start line, so clearly something has broken on his car, I think. But it was certainly a lead for Craig Land then as they headed down towards Cascades for the first time. But a good start off the line by Rob Apsey. He was briefly ahead. Is he still in second place? Yes, he is. And he's got David Martin just behind him in third place. Paul Clark fourth. David Hitchin fifth. Is that Bradley Horsnell, I think, in sixth place. As Sean Brame just disconsolately gets out of his car and gets behind the barrier.
Yeah, he's had to wait a little while, hasn't he, for this race, and unfortunately it didn't go very far at all for him. But Craig Land leads. Apsey, you said, made an absolutely blistering start from the outside of row 2. Is in second place as the cars come through Britons and over Hilltop for the first time of what will be either a 7 or 8 lap race. Cars having a battle further back, but up front though in third place is David Martin, fourth is Paul Clark, fifth is David Hitchin, and sixth is Bradley Horsnell. He didn't feature right at the sharp end earlier, but his lap times were pretty okay, so I think he might well come a part of this. And Go Rousenard, he's dropped back, hasn't he? He's there in seventh place. Didn't start as high up this time. The driver who's finished third in the championship this year. He'll be trying to catch this group. No, he's losing places. He's lost another one, so I'm not sure if all is well there either, because 38 has gone through, which is the car of Rob Hardy. Yep.
So coming up towards the end of the first lap, then there's a challenge on for second here. This is David Martin getting up on the inside of Rob Apsey into Lodge Corner. The two of them are wheel to wheel all the way through there. It's pretty close for fourth as well, Paul Clark and David Hitchin alongside one another. Certainly Craig Land leading at the end of lap 1. Yellow flags, of course, for Sean Brame's car here. Doesn't help when they're side by side. They go past the green flag now, which is on the entrance to Oulton Corner. And yeah, some cars certainly trying to make the most of the move on the way into Oulton there, Josh.
Yeah, it's a bit awkward, isn't it, when you arrive at a yellow flag side by side and the yellow flag zone's just in a straight line. So that's yeah, a bit awkward more than anything. David Martin's got second and win all of that away from Apsey. Then Paul Clark, who had an off-track moment earlier, he's there in fourth, looking for another podium. He's had just the one this year, and that came Netterton, I think, at the end of July. So he'll be keen to add another one to his list. But Craig Land's pulled clear of David Martin, who's another TSR run car, in second place. Then Rob Apsey there in third, Paul Clark fourth, fifth David Hitchin. And with this lowering light level, I think if you look very closely, you can just see a flash of flame come out of the exhaust there as they went down a gear into the chicane there at Britons. But now they head down towards the Hislop corner. And again, if you look very carefully, you can just see a flash of flame out the side of these cars.
Can indeed. So we have got 11.5 minutes of the race left to go. Rob Apsey under a bit of pressure here from Paul Clark and David Hitchin and Bradley Horsnell in cars 12 and 58 respectively, very close behind as well as they climb up Clay Hill towards Druids. It's a bit of a gap back to Rob Hardy then in 7th place. Apsey not giving up on second place either. He's keen to try and get that back from David Martin. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th right together here. And it is very much shaping up like the first race, isn't it? A bit of a clear lead for Craig Land, but a very good battle for second place going on. It's David Hitchin there trying to find a way past Paul Clark and unable to do so, it would seem, as they now come out of Deer Leap, up and over the line to complete lap number 2 of the race. It is side by side for second position. Rob Apsey's going to be on the inside line. And can he get down the inside to take second place away? Yes, he can, but does he run wide on the exit of the corner? Well, they're both very wide. Hitchin even wider. And is he going to get back onto the circuit without losing it completely? Yes, he is. So Hitchin loses out, but it's still side by side for P2 here, Josh, as they head down into Cascades, and Martin has just about clung on.
And Craig Land broke his own lap record by a full second from earlier, where maybe it was just a touch damp at that point. So you said that record might go again. It absolutely has done. But yeah, that battle for second place and into Ireland is still side by side, and it's Martin round the outside of Apsey, and looks like he's going to hang on in there, using that outside line. As out of the banked corner comes Land as the leader, but in P2 it is Martin from Apsey, from Clark, and Bradley Horsnell still in there. So good to see a new driver in this group compared to the earlier race. It'll be interesting to see if Dave Hitchin can chase after them after that sketchy moment, because he went very, very wide at Oulton, but managed to claw his way back onto the race course, and is once again trying to go after these cars in front. But Cole Riesenars, who was on the podium earlier, he's down in 10th now, so not all is well there.
Yeah, something not right with the car clearly, but he's already wrapped up 3rd place in the championship, so at least he doesn't need to worry too much about that. I'm sure he'd have been looking forward to another battle for a podium finish, though, here. At the moment, that's looking like it's going to be between David Martin and Rob Apsey, but they are getting away now from the rest of this little group. Paul Clark, David Hitchin and Bradley Horsnell. Well, Horsnell now ahead of Hitchin, of course, with Hitchin having had that off at Oulton at the beginning of this 3rd lap of the race.
He's caught them now, hasn't he? He was about a second or so back at them after that, but he's back with them, so it's 5 for second already.
It looks like Rob Hardy's being caught as well, hasn't it? Possibly by Ian Hardy for 8th place. Try and keep an eye on, for 7th and 8th place, we'll try and keep an eye on that one as well. Leader over the line again, Craig Land, but then the 2nd place group heading through. Land's broken his own lap record again, it's down to a 2:05 dead, so it's about a second slower than the lap record in the MX-5 set by Ben Short. As there a change because Brad Horsnell at the Oulton corner gets 4th place away from Paul Clark. You can see Hitchin back with them, all much cleaner that time through Oulton corner. Apps is going to have another go at David Martin going into Cascades, and it looks like he's got through there. So back through to 2nd place goes Rob Apsey. He's had a really good last couple of meetings, podiums at Cadwell Park in the last meeting, another one this morning, and he's really in the thick of the fight here for 2nd place. He just lost it again, actually, as they're either Ireland, but he's going really well, isn't he, Rob Apsey?
Yeah, it's good to see somebody that's been around the Formula for a little while, but now breaking through towards the front. That's absolutely right. But David Martin there into 2nd place. And we've only seen him on the podium a couple of times this year. Once was right at the first meeting at Silverstone, and the other was at Snetterton, I think, in July. So again, it's been a little while for him, so he'll be keen to get up there. Paul Clark was already mentioned too. Bradley Horsnell, he was on the podium at Cadwell, and then Dave Hitchin, who's at the back of the group, is the one driver who hasn't been there yet on a podium position, but it's still Martin then at the front of this group. It seems to be the end and the beginning of the laps where the overtaking tends to happen. So we saw in the earlier race you've got a good draft up Clay Hill as all the momentum is zapped really from the car at the front, but there's battles all the way down the field. Here in 15th place is Keith Malpas, who's actually got 14th now, I think, away from Trevor Faunch.
He has indeed, so they're a nice little scrap to long-time campaigners in this category. Meanwhile, you can't take your eyes off this battle for 2nd place, can you? It's absolutely fantastic between all of these cars. And now Paul Clark is trying to buy into a podium position here, and he's alongside Rob Apsey there. Clark in the number 82 car, the green and yellow machine, Little Clarky as he's known. He might be giving away an advantage here to Bradley Horsnell, who tries to make it 3 wide on the way into Oulton corner. There hasn't actually been a change of position there, I don't think, but there's lots of jousting going on. Craig Land has gone faster still, another 500ths taken off his own lap record, but this is a really good fight, headed by David Martin here, who was 5th in race number 1, looking good here for a 2nd place finish in race 2, but with a lot of work still to do.
You see he's fighting the car through Cascade, something you can really see with these open cockpit cars. You can see into to them. He's really having to fight the wheel, and that might have given Rob Apsey a run. Well, it might have given Paul Clark a run. They're all absolutely together, and yeah, Paul Clark managed just down the tarmac there. He was on the outside line, so I feared that he might have been squeezed a bit wide, but I think he was okay. These guys are 10 seconds behind the leader now, and it's Clark who's done it. He's got round the outside of Rob Apsey to go 3rd, but David Martin's hanging on there in 2nd. I think he's been there for a whole lap.
Yeah, that's right. So that changed at Shallow Corner. So Rob Apsey down to 4th place. He wants to keep up, if he can, this run of podium positions that he's had over the last couple of meetings at Cadwell and here at Oulton Park. Clearly finding these two parkland circuits very much to his liking. We've got Horsell and Hitchin just behind him as well. They're 10 seconds, as Josh was saying, behind the leader. About 5 seconds clear of Rob Hardy in the number 38 car, and Glenn Boyer it is now, number 33, up to 8th. Carl Royston 9th, and Ian Hardy, number 50, rounding out the top 10, but still 5 cars disputing second place.
And David Martin still there. He's doing a good job at hanging on. It's not as simple as some other venues here at Oulton Park that you can just draft straight past your opponent. You have to work a little bit harder at it. And Paul Clark is the one who's trying to find space. He's somehow found some room on the inside here, down towards Lodge. And he breaks late, but on the outside line, David Martin takes his line to hang on there, which this could give Hardy a chance as they come up over Dearsley. They all spread out across the circuit. It's all pretty spectacular there. But again, there's no actual positional change as they go into Old Hall. It's still David Martin there in second. Paul Clark in third, Rob Apsley in fourth, fifth for Bradley Horsnell, and sixth for David Hitchin. And again, an attempt there by Horsnell, but instead he's going to lose a place because Hitchin went round the outside down the avenue, which gave him the inside line for Cascades, and he's gone through with. Oh, there's definitely sparks, isn't it, as they go up over the curbs. Again, you don't seem to see that when it's brighter. That's a little bit later in the day. Quite spectacular shots here on our Alpha Life pictures. Yeah, absolutely right. Now Clark and Martin pretty much side by side for Ed and Ben there for second place, and we'll see how they've come out. For Craig Land fans, by the way, I think he is still out there leading by 12.5 seconds. We've not had cause to look at him for much of this race. That's Andy Perkins and Bill Ward and Alan Harmon, I think, disputing 16th, 17th and 18th. We just saw going into Lodge corner. Here is this fight then. Yep, it's Martin, Clark, Apsey, Hitchin and Horsnell. That's your order. And now with Glenn Boyer has caught Rob Hardy here for 7th. Rob Hardy, I think that's the ex-Ian Alley car, isn't it, that he's in? And he is challenging, but we've got a challenge further up the order as well. Rob Apsey's lost another position now. He's down to 5th because David Hitchin up on the inside there under the brakes for Hislops. He's taking up this challenge, isn't he, to be another podium to finish on the another driver to finish on the podium this year. Because he was sitting there in 6th for a couple of laps, but now he's sprung up to 4th. He's gained a couple of places just on this lap actually, as that battle turns into Druids with. We can get 1 or 2 more laps in here because earlier it was over 7 laps. But looks like we're going to get 8 out of this one. They're going to let them get that extra lap in as they've waited long enough to have this race. So there's still at times there's a touch I think there, just a very small touch between Paul Clark and David Hitchin. So hopefully both cars are unaffected by that. But that means David Martin's not under intense pressure this time across the line. With 2 laps to go, then we've completed 6 laps. And again into Old Hall, it's just not a long enough run for anybody to make a move, so it's the same order. Track limits are being explored. We're seeing there's some penalties for that. I think Hitchin was penalised in race 1 actually for a track limit violation, so right. He will be aware of that, although he was one of the drivers that ran very wide there at Old Hall over the concrete. And again he's wide, isn't he, as he goes onto Lakeside. Yeah, twice in a couple of corners. Well, he did race Clios before. Well, certainly used to using plenty of the circuit and a little bit more. So, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th still together here. Now 14 seconds behind Craig Land, who's ending his season in style, it would seem, in this Demon Tweeks Yokohama Locost Championship. Oh, Paul Clark's off Ian. He's gone all over the grass. He's kicking up all the autumn leaves there, and he went grass tracking in race 1, which lost him a podium position, and he's done it again. And Dave Hitchin there for his 3rd now. He is. Rob Apsey 4th, and Brad Horsnell in 5th position. Yes, Craig Land, of course, out in the lead of this race, looking for win number 13 of the season, which will be lucky for him in this particular case. As we watch cars head down into Hislops once again with less than a minute on the clock now. Of course, they've got 1 more lap to go at the end of this. There's Apsey, and he just seems to have lost touch a little bit with the top 2, David Martin and David Hitchin there, into the clutches of Brad Horsnell. So I don't think Apsey's going to keep up this podium run, and I also don't think we are going to get a 13th different podium finisher of the season. Well, Hitchin's there in third, who's not been on the podium.
Oh, yes, of course, yes, sorry.
So it depends.
Pardon?
We saw him run out wide a couple of times, so there's that question mark over it. But
I was too busy reading the screen rather than reading what was actually on the track.
And he might even get second because he's putting David Martin under more pressure than he's been under for a little while. So Hitchin's second half of this race has been really strong, and they come then over Clay Hill, over Deers Leap, yep, up towards Oulton as they start the last lap of the day. And this battle for second is far from done. And if they start battling Ian, that could bring Rob Apsey and Bradley Horsnell back into this.
Yeah, it could indeed. Glenn Boyer and Rob Hardy. Yeah, Rob Hardy ahead of Glenn Boyer now. So that's changed again. Carl Royston has just gone through in 9th place. A bit of a muted race for him. Now David Hitchin, you said he could get second place. He's alongside David Martin here as they head towards Island, the fast sweeping left-hander. And he's just tucked back in behind Martin, the red and white car, Hitchin the black and green car, the ex-Tom Gadd championship winning car. So down to Shallow Hills Corner for the final time. We'll see what order they come out in just a moment. They come out in the same order as they did before, Josh.
Yeah, so where can the move come? Or down to Lodge, or even up to Druid. We've seen that. If you get a good run out of Knickerbrook and get the toe. Paul Clark's nearly caught this group again, but it'll probably be a little bit too late for him to gain any positions. And Martin hugs at the inside and then comes back to the racing line as he goes down towards his lots. And we've had a spin. That's for
Rob Hardy.
Yes, who was 7th. He was in that battle with Glenn Boyer. So Boyer should get P7, assuming he didn't get caught up. Oh, there's the leader. He's still racing. It's Craig Land.
Yeah, and he's catching, I think, Bill Ward as well, and he will lap him before the end. So it's going to be Craig Land coming through. He's had just a dominant season, hasn't he? Had those gearbox issues at Pembrey. He had a couple of DNFs, but this is going to be win number 13 for the season for the man from Nottingham. The TSR driver goes out on a very, very high indeed in the Tweeks Yokohama Locost Championship. But who is going to be second place here? It is going to be David Martin, I think. But is David Hitchin going to hold on to third place? Over the curbs goes Bradley Horsnell. So I think it's going to be Rob Apsey that will get fourth. But yep, second place there goes to David Martin. Third to David Hitchin, fourth to Rob Apsey, fifth to Brad Horsnell, sixth to Paul Clark, and just the final few cars really just to come over the line. But that was a very good battle for second place, Josh.